Hi, you're listening to Java with Jen with your host, Jenna Lee Samuel. On this show, I bring the simplicity of hearing God's voice into everyday life in a no-nonsense, authentic, and super practical way. With coffee in hand and real life in our faces, let's do this.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode here at Java with Jen. Now I am coming to you live, actually it's pre-recorded, but from Long Beach. So if my recording sounds a little bit different, it's because I don't have any of my regular equipment. But I could not pass up the opportunity to record today with Miss Chris Anthony Lansdowne, who I got so excited when I first met this wonderful, sweet lady, because I, as a child, and many of you may have, grown up listening to Adventures in Odyssey. It's like a live recorded radio version of storybooks and like Christian stories. And I just remember when we traveled the US when I was a kid and we were missionaries and we were on furlough, we would be in our car for 12 to 16-hour days. And we entertained ourselves by listening to Adventures in Odyssey. And in it, there is a narrator in the beginning who says, "Hi, I'm Chris, and you're listening to Adventures in Odyssey." And that is who we have on the show today. Well, not only that, I also played with Barbie dolls, as many of you did. And Miss Chris Anthony is also the original voice of Barbie. So now that you're as excited and geeked out as I was, I am excited to introduce Miss Chris Anthony Lansdowne to you, Chris. Thanks so much for coming. I'm so pumped to have you.
Thank you. Wow, you made me sound so exciting.
Oh, you are.
Oh, I don't know about that, but thanks for that nice introduction. Yeah, wow. Adventures in Odyssey in a car traveling. That's a story a lot of people talk about. And I must be an old lady by now. You've been listening all these years.
Well, I just remember imagining what these people looked like.
Oh.
It's just so fun getting to talk to you. And of course, Barbie, like we have so many questions to dive into this. So, but tell us, where were you born? Where are you from? Where do you live now? How did you get into voice acting?
Oh my goodness, you want the whole enchilada there. Okay, let's see. I was originally born in Pennsylvania many years ago. I left, our family moved to California when I was 5 years old. So I've been in California my whole life, and I love California. It's a great place to live. And I went to high school and grade school in Escondido, California. And I was always involved in all the school plays and musicals and all the crazy things, in the arts. So I remember, it's funny, I think back about high school, and we'd have pep assemblies. Remember pep assemblies? But just before the football game or the basketball game, they'd always have these pep rallies where people get all supercharged to go to the game, and they'd always ask me to come out in some crazy character dressed like who knows what. They knew I'd do it, and I'd come out and I'd just get that crowd all fired up about it's the game, and I'd have some stupid hat on my head, and we had a lot of fun, and I just had kind of a great time in high school doing a lot of those silly things. But it's a memory that I have that I won't let go. As a matter of fact, I just which makes it really special for me is believe it or not, I was homecoming queen.
Oh, I believe it.
Homecoming queen.
I believe it.
Okay, this will tell you what that experience was like for me. I remember wearing this beautiful dress and my hair and everything, the crown. And there was a time where they wanted the king and queen for homecoming to sit on top of this convertible car, not on top of it, but they, put at the top, and we would actually drive around the field in our glory of being king and queen. And I was holding the roses. And I remember thinking, I cannot do this. This is ridiculous. I am not that. So I bent over and I blacked out a front tooth with an eyebrow makeup pencil. So it looked like I was missing a front tooth. And as the car pulls around to the stand with all the kids and the people at the game, and they were honoring the king and queen, and I picked up my head from leaning over and blacking out a tooth, and I went, "Huh?"
Oh my gosh.
That sums up my experience.
Oh
I
my
remember
gosh.
the teacher saying, "Chris, you're not taking this serious." And from there on, I never have taken a lot of that stuff serious. So, I don't like to be the oh, look at the glamour girl, So that was an interesting story I just told you.
Which is funny though, because I feel like the irony of the fact that your voice was the voice that brought Barbie to life for a
Oh
lot of
my
us, right?
goodness. Yes.
Listening, and
Yes.
and Barbie was like the icon of
Oh,
the female icon, right? That's why there's been
yes.
such a fuss over make her more realistic looking,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I kind of appreciate that you're so down to earth and
Thank
I
you.
can't call you non-glamour. You are pretty glamorous and fabulous, but
Wait, can
I
anybody
just kind
see
of like
me?
that.
Can they see me right now? I mean, I've actually done my hair, put on lipstick for our Zoom
Well,
together.
I'm actually going to put this on YouTube so people can
Oh,
see you because
okay.
I'm trying to get my videos on YouTube more. So they
Okay,
will
good
get to
thing.
see
Good
your
thing
lovely
I did
face.
my hair up, so nice.
Yeah, you look fabulous. So for those who are not seeing this on YouTube, she has fabulous blonde hair and big,
Oh,
beautiful blue eyes, and she just looks gorgeous. And so,
you're so
um,
sweet. Thank you.
okay, so I actually did a deep dive on you online, and
Okay.
I saw that you had in 2015 was quite the year for you when it comes to nominations and awards. Like you had 3 nominations for Best Voiceover, and then you won. You were the winner of the Voice Arts Award, Outstanding Audiobook Narration in the History category
Now
for
you've been
Best
doing your
Voiceover.
homework, young lady. What are you doing? I mean, you should be out having fun, not reading about old Chris.
Well, I mean, IMDb does make it easier, not gonna lie, but
IMDb, yeah. It's funny when I hear someone talk about, your credits and your work that you've done, and I think this is just between me and whoever's listening. I never been comfortable about someone going, and you were this and you've done that. It's like I always think, oh, but it's just me and God.
I
He's
know, I
he's
feel you.
given me everything I've ever done. And I think, when the day comes that I go to be with him, and I think about what are they going to say about me? Oh, do I care that it was the greatest voice actress in the world? No, none of this is not important to me. What
Yeah.
I hope is that people will remember the fact that I loved God. I was a kind-hearted person. I cared about people. I mean, that, when you value certain things in your life, that to me is a richness that the world sometimes doesn't understand. They think, whatever's in your bank account is really how you show your, what you've done with your life, but not at all. I think, I hope that, people will remember me in a way that would be, good to people and a fun person, that
Yeah.
that's that means the most to me, and that I love God.
Yeah.
I put him first in everything I do because I am zero without him. I mean, he has given me every job and not given me jobs because he wants the best for me. So you think when you're in this business as a voice artist, voice actor, that, oh, a lot of times I look at things and I go, that was the perfect animation job for me, or that was the best, that should have been mine. And when you think about it, no, what he does is he closes the doors to things that are not good for you. And
Yeah.
that it's a hard thing to swallow sometimes because you think, what could have been so much fun. But I think, boy, I look at some of the things that I was not cast for, and I went, ew, that stuff is horrible.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff is not good. And I love kids. And I feel a real sense of responsibility to be that to kids. I want somebody who's not perfect, but I want them to look to me and know that I've turned down junk, even though I could have made a lot of money. And
Yeah.
some of these jobs are just so, they're not good. They're just really, they don't build you up, they tear you down. And so as a host of a show, a Christian show, and my career, I really feel like I don't want all the things that I think I want. So
Yeah.
long story short, as I always am rambling on, I really grateful to God for creating my career for me.
That's so good. And I love that you said that because that's honestly one of the primary reasons I decided to have you on my show because, you being the voice of Barbie, as fascinating as that is, on my show, we are all about seeing the role that the Holy Spirit plays in directing the lives of his children. In Romans 8:14, it says, those who are children of God those who are sons of God are led by the Spirit of God. And that it's a hallmark of being a son of God and having a relationship with him that we're able to be led by his Spirit. And so I wanted to dive into all of that. But before we do, you're known for Adventures in Odyssey. You're known for being Barbie, but you've done a few other things. I saw that you played a part in Trolls, the movie Trolls, right?
Yes,
Yeah. What
yes.
what
It
role
was
were you?
one of my favorite roles because I actually do this voice for Adventures in Odyssey too. And it's a little grandma. I love playing grandmas. I'm thinking maybe this is my future role. Um, she was a little a grandma that was hard, a grandma troll. But she couldn't see well, she couldn't hear well, and they were asking her questions, and so she, well, hello there. When she'd say, "You want some glasses? Oh, all right. I can't find mine, and oh, they're on my head."
Oh,
So
I love it.
she was scatterbrained. And on Adventures in Odyssey, she's also Mrs. Randolph. If you are listening to Adventures in Odyssey, she's not quite as goofy. Mrs. Randolph is a little more like this, and she's smart, and she's not as, airheady. But her and Wooten, the mailman on Adventures in Odyssey, have a special relationship together. And she's one of my favorite ones. I don't know. I just
So cool. I love
probably my
that.
future.
Okay, so then you're very well rounded as far as the voices you can produce. What did you do in Fallout 76? I saw
Oh,
that. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, that seems very uncharacteristic. Like the poster of the movie, I was like, what did she do over there? What part did you play in that?
oh, this is so funny because going from Chris, who is, I always play nerdy or kind of a funny blonde or just really lighthearted characters. Fallout 76. Really, I auditioned for a couple roles, and one was the role of the computer. She was called Motherload, and she was very, was very, very stern, but they put such effects on her voice. She was very eerie, and everything she said was very robotic, and she had kind of a creepy feel, which was really fun for me. And then I played this really crazy, I think she was a professor, yes, and she got affected by radiation, so she was kind of half monster and half human.
Oh gosh.
And she had this really dark voice, and when she talked, she was deep and she was crazy. And it was so fun because
Wow.
the director says, "Go, make her a little crazier." I go, "Okay."
That's so fun. I know that with my sister being in acting as well, which is how you guys met each other,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
how I met you. I feel like it's quite in the acting world, it's kind of it's esteemed to be able to really diversify your talents and be able to cover a broad spectrum of things. Is that right?
Yes. Well, the thing about voice acting, and by the way, I love your sister. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Crystal.
I'll send this to her.
It's not really the voices you do. Like you could have a whole bag of voices, bags of tricks of doing voices. It's not about the voices. It's about the acting, because you can do characters and little voices and fun voices, but what's going to really make it believable and that will get you cast in a job is your acting ability. So anybody that wants to go into voice acting, take acting, because that's the thing that is going to make it real. And also if you're, improv, a lot of times they want you to improvise. And so if you have that ability to kind of improvise and talk off the cuff and make things up that are clever, and improvise and acting are really important when it comes to voice acting. Now, for me, this is going to sound a little kooky, and if you can't you can't really see me. Some of you won't be able to, but in my throat, like I know I have certain sounds that I use. Like way down in here is where my really old people, and they're down low, and but as I go a little bit up higher, I feel like she's that grandma, and she talks a little bit, she's not quite as deep that way, and then I can make her more my mom. My mom is up a little higher, and so I say, please go eat your dinner. Don't, oh, kids, and as I go a little higher. I can feel that where Barbie lives in here. She's like, hi, I'm Barbie. And then as I reach a little higher into my throat, I go younger and then little kids are up here. And then I can make kids voices from way up in here. And then sometimes I can just make it a little bit tighter and I make them into bug voices. And I can say, hi, I'm Bug. So that's
wow.
That sounds crazy, but it's acting, but it's also, I know where to find my people, my character.
Okay, but as a vocalist, because I sing and my son is working on his vocals as well. Yay. And so you just described how vocalists develop their voices to be able to create different timbres and different resonances and all this stuff. And
it's a quick version of it. I just did a fast thing for you. I don't know if it made sense.
Well, it did to me. I was fascinated. I was like, that's amazing. Okay, so let's dive a little deeper now. But firstly, I'm really and some of my people on Facebook, did ask some questions. Let me peek here.
Oh, thank you. You guys ask questions. I love to be, questioned.
Okay, now Tammy included quite a few different questions in one, but we'll just kind of try to grab the gist of it. She said, how was your voice chosen among so many others when you auditioned? What process did they have to choose? Was an audition of some sort? So maybe take us into the audition experience. And what was it like for you when you chose to audition for Barbie? In fact, Crystal told me something about some major earthquake happening when you were auditioning. Can you tell us about this?
By the way, you guys, I don't know if you can see her. She is so pretty. Her gorgeous hair just flowing and her pretty face. It's like, I'm looking at her going, how did she do her hair like that? It's such a girl thing.
Okay. It's a straightening iron.
So there, I strayed for a minute. Back on question. And who asked this question? Was it
Tammy Greer?
Tammy. Hi, Tammy. So Tammy, because I've been a voice actress for so many years, I've been in this business for 40 years. Auditions and jobs come different ways sometimes. Sometimes you audition against a whole lot of people for a role. You don't really see them. You don't know how many people you're competing against. I always tell people when you're auditioning for a role, don't compare to anybody, just you have to compete, but don't compare.
Hey friend, I have some super exciting news to share with you. Something I have been pouring my heart and soul into for over a year is finally here. I want to introduce my brand new Hearing God's Voice journal, which I created just for you, my listener. If you've ever struggled with feeling like you can't quite hear when God is speaking to you, this journal is the practical solution that I have created for you. It's designed to make hearing God's voice simple, easy, and doable in your everyday life. Because I love you, when you pre-order your copy, you'll get free shipping, a signed copy from me, and a couple of sweet surprises tucked inside. This journal is not just a book, it's my labor of love for my amazing listeners. I have prayed over it, planned every detail with you literally in mind, and I can't wait for you to have it in your hands. So pre-orders are available for US purchases only, but don't worry, once it's on Amazon, it'll be available worldwide. So go ahead, reserve your copy now. The link is in the show notes, or you can head straight to javawithjenpodcast.com. That's javawithjenpodcast.com to grab yours. Seriously, literally don't wait. I already have 36 sales. People are buying this thing like crazy, and I know they're going to go fast. So I'm super excited. Take this journey with you, and let's learn to hear God's voice together in a way that will change your life forever and make 2025 your best year yet. So go grab your copy today. Okay, let's get back to the show.
If you're going, well, she got that and she does that, you just stay with what God puts on your plate and you do your best. And so, like I said, I've auditioned. Originally, I was an on-camera actress where you could see me. I was in commercials and I had small parts and things. And so that was my first part of my journey. So um, I was visually, you could see me. And then it changed through the years when I realized how much better it was to do voices because you could do any age, you could be a rock talking or a kid talking. So I think when it comes to auditioning, I really like being a voice actress because it's limitless.
Mm.
But as far as when the role of Barbie came, this was very different. Normally I would, audition for something and you're see, sometimes you see the people, sometimes you don't see the people. But this was during 1994. And Barbie had a few, I think jobs of just doing like a workout video or just doing various things, but she never really had an established voice. There wasn't a voice where you'd say, oh, that's her. They did a little here and there. So come 1994, this is so crazy. I had an audition to go to Mattel for a doll. I didn't know, just a doll's voice. That wasn't anything not normal for me to do. And so I planned on going the following day. And that night in Northridge, California, 1994, there was a huge earthquake. Yeah, I've never been in an earthquake before. So that was a different experience for sure. I mean,
How big was it?
it was, oh my gosh, 6 point something. Oh, forgive me if I don't get it, but it was big. Things are
Yeah.
falling off the walls. Things are really, there's streets opening up. There's a lot of stuff happening. It was not your little shakers. It was a huge one. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but enough to where my place had a lot of stuff going on. Things were on the floor, broken, glass broken. And I had my Kelsey, who's now 32. She was just a little baby at the time. And I was with my husband and we're living in this place in Sherman Oaks. And it was very scary. And, suddenly it's like, turn off the water and everything's just shut down, no electricity, everything was just intense. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to, get myself together.
Character.
So, of course, I'm not going to go to this audition. I mean, that's the last thing on your mind when you're in an earthquake. So
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, I got to let them know I'm not coming because Mattel is located in El Segundo, which is maybe 45 minutes, maybe close to an hour from me. So they're not feeling the intenseness of what we were going through. So I thought, I'm going to just call them and say, sorry, I can't make this audition. And my husband's going, okay, Eddie, you make that call. And come to find out, the director on the phone, he goes, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. He goes, thank you. That is unbelievable that you called us. I appreciate that. Don't worry about anything. And then he stops for a second and he says, well, this project is really, it's got to happen. And we basically need to know if you're even in the ballpark, if you're going to even sound like anything we need. And I thought, that's interesting. Okay. He says, do you mind? Could you just sit in a chair and we'll give you a couple lines to say?
During an earthquake?
Yeah. Well, by then it's tremors, it's not all,
Okay.
it's starting to kind of stabilize a little bit. But so I remember sitting in this chair in my bedroom and he said, okay, here's the lines I want you to say. We'll basically know if you're kind of right for this. At this point, I don't know who this doll is, what they want. This is just a project I could tell that was really, really important to start. And so he says, here's your lines. Just repeat this. Hi, this is Barbie. Welcome to McDonald's. You look cool. And I went, oh, okay, I could do that. And I went, hello, this is Barbie. Did you just say Barbie? And I went, all these things in my head went, he just said Barbie, the icon Barbie doll. I thought about when I played with her on my bedroom floor with my sister and we fought over being Barbie. Who would be Barbie? All these things are coming into my head. I thought, how did I sound when I wanted to play with her? What should she represent? sweetness, kindness, softness, but like a best friend for kids, you know? A little girl wants to pick her up and go, here's my Barbie. So all that came into my brain. I closed my eyes and I went, hi, it's me, Barbie. You look cool. Welcome to McDonald's. And I opened my eyes again and I went, oh, he said nothing. He didn't say anything. I thought,
Oh
I
no.
just remember going, oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to do it again? I don't, I'm nervous. And he says, no, no. Very quietly, he says, Chris, I know it's kind of a tough time, but can you come to Mattel tomorrow? I went, yeah, because I just want you to, read, do that for a few people. I went, okay. I told my husband, he goes, just get in the car. You can do it. Go. I'll take care of the baby. Go. And so next day I get in the car. Now this is a girl thing. I couldn't shower because there was no water. So I couldn't get all prettied up like a Barbie because you're going to Mattel and you look cute, right? I put on my baseball cap, my tennis shoes and jeans, got in my car and drove to Mattel. Got in the front door of Mattel, and this is in the 90s. When you entered the lobby, there was a huge statue of Barbie in the lobby. She was that Barbie that had on that striped bathing suit and the sunglasses, and she looked like an Oscar standing in there. It was just, you go wait and you sit on the couch to go into the studio. And I went, oh, that's her. Hi, it's me, Barbie. I'm gonna be you. Just sat there on the couch. And the secretary says, all right, are you ready? Chris, we're going to take you back to the sound studio. I went, I'm ready, in my baseball cap, but I had pink lipstick on, just so you know.
That works. That's important.
They took me back to the sound studio. And in the sound studio, there was like 8 people, kind of nice, dressed, all standing behind the glass as I sat down at the microphone, and they are just kind of smiling at me, and I smiled at them, and I thought, I'm gonna faint. And so the director behind the glass with his talkback button says, okay, Chris, just do for me what you did on the phone. Just do the same thing. Okay. So I sat on my little stool with a microphone. I went, hi, it's me, Barbie. You look cool. Hi, everybody. What are you doing today? And I just talked. And they said nothing. They just whispered to each other like this. I thought, oh my goodness, I was so bad.
So nerve-wracking.
I was so bad. I just need to go home. Honey, I tried. I'm done. I'm going to change diapers. That's it. And then slow motion, the director presses the talkback button, goes like this. He just got me, and he leans to the mic and he goes, hi, Barbie. Welcome to your new job. We start business tomorrow. You're going to be our Barbie, just like that.
Wow.
I don't know how many people they listen to. I don't know how the history or the road that led to me, but I knew in my heart that even earthquakes won't stop you if you're meant to do something.
Yeah.
And so, Barbie might not be a Christian, but Chris is. And that's my voice going into that doll. So every time I recorded a job, we did computer games, we did talking dolls, teacher Barbie, dentist Barbie, cool shopping Barbie, Spanish speaking Barbie. Then we did all of her toys, and she had computer games and cell phones. I was in the studio for months, just doing different toys. And I kept thinking, thank you, God. Thank you. I can't believe that I can do this. Now, the hard part, and I'll end this little story, I wasn't allowed to tell anybody I was Barbie. I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell any of the people I worked for. I couldn't tell any of the, auditions that were coming up for me in my work. I couldn't tell kids, no one, because they wanted to keep the image without a face. They wanted the fantasy of Barbie being Barbie, and that's who she was, not my face to go with it. So I honored that and didn't tell for years that I was Barbie. Can you? Except for I broke the rules a couple times, and I would call sick little girls in hospitals, and I would be Barbie, and I would talk to them. and I would say hi, you're going to be okay. I'd break that rule because it was worth it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so incredible. I feel like I just love, okay, so here's where my brain goes with this. You know how some musicians, the spirit that they record in, the spirit that they carry really gets infused into their music, and you can feel it when you listen to their music. Do you feel like the fact that you are a Christian and the Spirit of God lives inside of you, do you feel like that was infused into, and maybe that's part of why Barbie had so much favor? Because, I mean, like, she's iconic. She's probably the most famous toy that has ever been in history. And I don't think it's just because she was a cute doll. Like, I wonder how much the favor of God and the Spirit of God inside of you coming out as her voice, I wonder how much that influenced that.
I honestly don't know, other than when I did my jobs, I always prayed that my voice would be his, So I think, there came a time where it changed and it kind of phased into a new, hipper, cooler Barbie. I was the soft, gentle, sweet Barbie of the 90s. And then it started changing and she became a different kind of a feel to her. Which I was very grateful that I got to start her, because that was who I was, and that's the Barbie I wanted to be. I wasn't that, the whole the other feel that she later became. Not that it was bad, it just wasn't who I was. And so I think very much so he knew what he was doing when he gave me the role to be here. No, she's of the world. She's a doll, but I'm not. Although
True.
some mornings I think, oh my goodness, I wish I had a plastic head and put on my hair.
Put on my plastic hair. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit over to Adventures in Odyssey.
Ooh.
I grew up listening to this, and Crystal and I were talking last night. She's like, I think she still records for Adventures in Odyssey.
Yes.
You still do?
Oh, definitely. Adventures in Odyssey is 37 years in the makings, 1,000 episodes. We just celebrated just recently, and it is going very strong. It's God's really kept it going. It's a radio drama of just it is so well done. I'm very, very proud to be a part of it. It have been from the very, very first episode. And my goodness, there's just not a whole lot of good stuff out there for kids to listen to. And the stories are they're just magical. They're right on the pulse of what kids face nowadays. They're very current about their topics. They address a lot of great, and intense issues, and they do it really, really well. They're creatively written. Our writers are so, so good. I can't name just one because I don't want to eliminate anybody, but our writers are incredible. The directors are really good. And our Foley, which is our sound effects, are top notch. These guys are incredible. And our executive producer, Dave Arnold, I can mention because he's a really good friend of mine. He's just unbelievable. So you have a team of people that work behind the scenes at Adventures in Odyssey that make it all come together. The people that work hard for the show, we couldn't do it without any of them.
No kidding.
We need all of them to make it happen. And it is honestly my favorite job in the world, especially when I get to call kids. They have no idea that I'm going to call, and you hear kids go, and then they're just screaming, and then they're passing the phone around to their.
Oh, I love it.
We talk about the issues that they're having a tough time in school, or their dog died or something. We just talk, and it's just so beautiful, the conversations that open up. Being able, I'm a host of a show that they love. They trust me. I'm not a character. I'm Chris. So I carry with me, Chris is talking to you about God and how to get through some tough times. And that's a heavy responsibility. And I love it because
Yeah.
kids open up to me, and that kids are my favorite thing on the planet.
Oh, I just love it. I love it. Okay, so personally, I'm kind of astonished, and like it just points to God's hand in your career, because in the acting and all the entertainment industry, I mean, like an actor is hits a streak of luck, they'll call it, when you get like one of those career moving
Yeah.
roles, right?
Oh,
That can just put
sure.
you on the scene or whatever.
Sure.
Or more realistically, something that actually pays the bills,
Yeah.
right? And
Oh,
so
yeah.
the fact that you had two major career roles that lasted you for decades, that to me speaks of the Lord's hand in it. Are there times when you can look back in either one of those that you can say, I mean, obviously, I think that you just know the Lord had a hand in it, but were there any distinct moments where you saw the Lord specifically intervene and either protect your job, protect you being in that position so that maybe it didn't get canceled or someone else didn't, you know what I mean? Were there moments where you saw the Lord step in and just have his hand where you knew God has me here, there's a purpose for me being here, and you could just kind of rest in that and trust that?
You're a good interviewer. I love your questions. They're so deep and heartfelt. And
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm going to say it like it is. You are just a very dear person and you can feel your passion for people, you know? And
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
you're just in your right lane right now. So
I
aside
appreciate
from the answering the question, I'm just stopping, putting a pause on it and saying that's who you are. And it is no accident that you're doing what you're doing. You do it well. And I feel like he's just pouring into you and blessing you. And it's just like you're just pouring it out. So that's my moment with
Oh,
you. Okay.
thank you. That
I'm
blesses me.
Well, it's very true. Forgive me, I'm going to just keep that question on a pause, but it's like,
Okay, finish.
we live in a world where people don't say the good things anymore. If they see them
Mm.
and they just stay in their little bubble and their comfort zone and you see it, you know it, but they just don't compliment and say it like it is. And I really, really feel strong about this. If you're out somewhere and you are in your daily walk, going to grocery stores or going whatever you're doing, there are people working really hard at their jobs and they're doing it the best they can. And
Yeah.
just to take the minute to stop and tell them that is so powerful. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate you and know you're amazing, but some people don't hear it. They're
Mm.
working in a drive-through window and they're trying to make their way in life. And if you see somebody, I mean, be real and authentic. If you see somebody that is doing something, going out of their way, I had this one experience with this kid in a drive-through window, and he was just sometimes they keep their head down, they don't even look at you, they just take your money, they take your order. He goes, hey, he looks at me, he goes, nice scarf. And I went, oh, thank you. And I go, and he goes, yeah. He goes, go with your eyes. I go,
Oh,
okay, here's that moment. He's going beyond. He's
yeah.
making your day good by him just putting out that energy of complimenting. I thought, okay, I'm going to stop this and put a pause on and say, could you just go get your manager? Oh my goodness, the poor kid looked like he just, he struck by lightning. He just looked like, yes, sure. And he had the scared look, turned around, and the manager comes over into the window. She leans out and she looked like she was ready to get, oh my goodness, a battle about some negative customer. And I said, you know what? This guy, doing his job right now, he is doing really good.
Oh,
He made my day. The manager was in shock. She said,
oh.
oh, she goes, nobody ever compliments these guys. Nobody says good things. I
Mm.
went, oh, it was true. She says, these kids get raises when you do stuff like that. I went, raises? She smiled and
Yeah.
said, thank you. And the kids behind her, his face is going, oh. It was so sweet. I thought, that's my best example of seize the moment, take the time, connect with a person, say something kind. We got a world of people that are so hurting and so lost and need to be connected and complimented. I'm sorry, I did trail off on you. I did.
That's okay. It's
I'm
a
going
good
to
point,
unpause
though.
that button and say, that's what I feel like that is important. And now you asked me, what was the question?
Oh, remembering what the question was, but we're gonna pull out another good one. Well, you know what? That kind of leads into one question I did have, which was, what lessons did you personally learn while voicing Barbie that you think are important for young girls or people in general, women, whoever, that you would tell moms of girls or that you would tell girls? What are some valuable lessons?
Okay. You see how good she is? She's not making me feel embarrassed for going a whole nother direction.
You did great. I love it. If it's good, it's good.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, whatever that question was, I'll probably remember it after we close up and I go to the grocery store.
When you're showering tonight.
Yeah, when I go, oh yeah, by the way, this is how that goes. Okay, so what have I learned? When you do something and you're given the opportunity to be a job that carries some weight to it, and it's important, especially I made the role of Barbie who I wanted her to be. Granted, they had certain lines and certain ways they wanted her to speak and say, but I kind of bring to it the way I want her to come across to young girls. If she comes across snarky and has an attitude, guess what? That's gonna be your Barbie doll. She's gonna be all attitudey and snarky. So for me, it's important that I project something that I feel good about, because at the end of the night, I put my head on my pillow and I think, did I do good stuff today, or am I just gonna, boy, I've just promoted something, there, and forgive me, there's a few animated things I've been on and I think, oh my goodness, do I really want to be that? And I'm not saying I'm all perfect and things like that. I want to put out good, positive things for kids. And
yeah,
in my trunk of my car, I have. What if you guys can guess what I have in the trunk of my car? Let's see. Anybody?
Beach towel?
What?
A beach towel? You live in California.
Okay, maybe. Well, in my car, I carry a big, huge, blue, furry puppet. And his name is Charlie. And Charlie stays in my trunk in a bag. And when I think it's the right time, I take Charlie out for a kid and I let him talk to the kids, because kids go, oh, he's so cool because he has this blue, he's just, and I think, yeah, just make him kind of come out of the trunk. He's big. He's like big enough. My hand goes into his head and he's got long arms and feet. And I think I just make him kind of talk and say sweet things to kids. And I thought, you create your own world. You know what I mean? If I want to do that, okay, maybe lock me up. I'm crazy. But I want to do good things for kids. And I want Puppet gets his he has a way of talking to kids that nobody does, because they go, wow, he's so cool. Hey, you know what? You got to go home and do your homework because I said so.
I feel like I've seen Charlie on your social media.
Yes, you might have. Charlie, during the when we had the whole we couldn't leave our houses. I did little puppets with Charlie for the kids for story time. So they had something.
I love it. Okay, so what I love about what you've just even described, I think that, I learned the other day in the New Testament, I was reading about spiritual gifts. Did you know that kindness is a spiritual gift? Like, there are people who have a gift of kindness, and I'm kind of suspecting that maybe you carry that spiritual gift. But I just thought it was interesting when I saw that there's people literally with that as a gift. But what I like about what you're saying about how you used the influence you could carry in Barbie and you maximized it. Like you made the most out of that opportunity. And I feel like that principle is so transferable to any industry, any career, any place that we operate, any position we find ourselves in. Like we can be whatever kind of teacher that we choose to be. Like my sister, her classroom is a haven of mermaiding, I mean,
She's
it has
so
her
cool.
all over. And she has to follow curriculum. She has to have,
but she injects that part of her, the goodness of her and her creativity into it, and it makes it special.
It does.
We all have gifts of different colors and different things, and some of us, like we learn to do, like we're trees with these big branches, and we know how to use certain branches and be this tree. But we also have all these little branches that are underneath in our trees. We get all kinds of things we can use, and you can literally use your powers for good.
Yes, it's so true.
That's what I feel like.
I agree with you. And I think it's so powerful. Okay, so I did want to ask you this, because some of these questions I wanted to make sure that I pull out of you. So when you were portraying these influential roles, and maybe even smaller roles or whatever, but especially these influential roles where your voice maybe went further, like the audiences were bigger, did you ever find yourself praying for the audience, knowing that your work can impact people, especially children, in ways that you might never see?
Well, that's a great question. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And two things come to mind. One is a Barbie thing. There was one particular doll that we did of Barbie, and she was Talk With Me Barbie. And her mouth actually opened and closed as she talked. This was just crazy. And what Mattel wanted to do was to program into her every little kid's name they could possibly program into this Barbie, so that when the little girl played with her, she'd say, "Hi, Sydney. Hi, Linda." So it would personalize that Barbie to them. Like you're playing with your friend Barbie that's talking to you and saying your name. Well, I remember literally months, and I'm not kidding, months of sitting in the studio and just programming names. And I remember thinking, we went through Carly, Cindy, all the American names. Then we went into baby books, baby names. We went through all the names we could come up with. Then we went into foreign names, and Lucinda and Shakanuna, and we went through every name, different languages, Cantonese, And the reason I'm telling you this is because I was going a little stir crazy. Can you imagine day after day going,
that sounds tedious.
Carly Ann. I prayed every time I called out a name that the little girl would be playing with her. I called out and I prayed, and I said, "Call that little girl." And I put that in my heart. So when I said, "Kelsey Ray, Linda, Taiwana," I called to them. And in my mind, when they played with their Barbie, that they would hear their name called by God too. Mattel didn't know that.
Wow, that's so cool.
And when I perform live on stage, and one of my favorite things to do is like warm up an audience and talk to people. And Adventures in Odyssey had their 1000th episode in Colorado Springs just recently. They asked me to warm up the audience. Warm up the audience. Come out to 6,000 people. This place was huge, and it was, like I said, about 6,000 people showed up to these to the live performance. And I remember thinking, I'm going to walk through that curtain and I'm going to see faces that I have talked to for how many years? You go in the studio, and I was talking to Katie Lee, one of my dear friends who's a voice actress on the show. She plays Connie. We don't get to see the people. We record and we're doing our part, but those were people's faces that we've been talking to for 37 years. Their kids grew up listening to Adventures in Odyssey, and then their kids are now listening to So
Yeah.
suddenly I thought, oh God, here I am. I'm going to walk through that curtain and I'm going to see thousands of faces. I thought, just fill my heart with love for them because they came to love on us for, being a part of their lives. And I'll tell you, when that curtain opened up and I walked through it and walked down to the edge of the stage and I looked at all the people. Oh my goodness, it just chokes me up right now. I saw all these lovely faces of children and adults and men, women, every walks of life was sitting out there. And I just went, wow, let me be enough. And it was a beautiful moment where he filled my heart. And I honestly didn't want to get off the stage.
Oh, I love
I had like
that.
10 minutes to just chat with all these people. And I remember thinking, okay, Chris, you better go now. They're going to start to go. Be quiet, get off the stage. But it was like, it was the culmination of years of just being people that loved Adventures in Odyssey. What a privilege.
Yeah.
What an honor.
Wow. So, okay, so that takes me to another question, because a lot of times, at least in my limited 41 years of life, I've learned a few things, and I've come to discover that rarely, because I personally think it's because God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. He's able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask, think, or imagine. He's always doing a new thing. So he thinks way outside the boxes we think inside of, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what that ends up looking like a lot of times is we have plans for our life, and those plans don't usually play out exactly like we imagine, because again, we live and we think in much smaller boxes than God does. So looking back on your journey, and I'm pulling this out because many of my listeners, though they may not be voice actors, though they may not play semi-chronic, whatever, they all have paths, they all have dreams, they all have gifts, they all have a purpose they're pursuing. And many times along the way, it doesn't pan out like we think, or like we hope, or like we expect, or like we dreamed.
Good.
However, usually after the fact, looking back, then we see the fingerprints of God in our journey and say, that's what you were doing. So even though you have this beautiful story of landing Barbie and landing Adventures in Odyssey, and it's been a beautiful purpose and a beautiful expression of your life purpose for so long, were there places along that journey where things didn't pan out like you thought and that you felt devastated? But then in looking back, you can see how the Lord was ordering your steps into the path you found.
Wow. Well, that was a great question. I got to go, but it was good. No.
Oh, so, you better not. Oh, no, it is
Okay.
almost too
All
good.
right. I am a little bit, I'm a goofball. I grew up on I Love Lucy and Carol Burnett. And what can I tell you? No, but that was really good. And I'll tell you why it's so good, because so many people are facing, their road, their journey that they're on right now. And you're working a job right now, maybe that you're not real crazy about it. And it's not part of your dream come true, but I guarantee you what you're learning and where you're at in your journey is very, very valuable, because it's teaching you something. It may be teaching you something you need later down the road to that thing that you want for your life. Don't ever think that where you're at is like, oh, what am I doing this for? This is all. Don't do that, because it's important. It's important for your journey. Get what you're supposed to learn from where you're at and what you're doing. And I'll tell you, when I first started years and years and years ago, I went with my brother. I was out of high school, and I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an actress. But I had an opportunity to go with him to travel and demonstrate cookware. I couldn't even cook. I mean, I was this blonde girl and had these fancy outfits, and I was going to demonstrate cookware, and I was going to make it a show. Well, what they did was, I went with him and a couple of my friends, and we went back to Atlanta, Georgia. And here I am thinking, this has nothing to do with my career. I'm demonstrating cookware, but what they did was they set you up in a brand new store. So they would have like a stage, and they'd put pots and pans. You see them nowadays, it's a little different, but you'll see like Costco has these people demonstrating cookware. Well, back then it was very exciting, and this cookware was really cool, and it was Oster, good name, and they paid me commission for every pan I sold, every set of cookware I sold. I thought, oh, I could do this. I just made my demonstration on the stage where I burned eggs. And I showed how the pan that had them slide out after being burned, and I melted cheese, and I made this thing my show because I was an actress, and crowds would come around me demonstrating cookware, laughing and having fun, and just talking to me, and I would just be so goofy. Well, the reason I say this is because what it taught me was to improvise. When you have to sell things and you got a stage and people and questions and laughing, you're going to be improvising and being fun. And if your egg goes flying off into the lights or your cheese doesn't come out of the pan, you got to make it improvise.
Yeah.
I had a blast. I'm thinking I was making a lot of money. I was like 18, 20, somewhere around there. And I met one lady during that particular year when I was demonstrating cookware. Her name was Stella Della Rose. Stella Della Rose. Here I am, all glammed up, doing my little routine. People are laughing, having fun with me. She comes up. She got on this cowboy hat. This is Atlanta, Georgia. She had on these overalls. She had on like a little undershirt and she had this missing tooth in front. I remember those days.
A real one.
I did my homecoming thing that way. But she had no front teeth. She had on these long braids, and she comes up to me and she says, "Listen, honey." She goes, "You ain't cooking in those shiny pans. Why, you need to be cooking on a wrought iron skillet. You need one of those cast iron things where you cook them and the food just savors every bite." And she's going on and on. And I'm mesmerized by this woman telling me how to cook in this cookware, and don't use that stuff. Use a wrought iron pan. And I'm just watching her go, oh my gosh. I memorized her, put her in my, as I call it, my character bag. Never forgot her. So fast forward years and years and years later, not only that part of my journey where I'm standing there cooking, selling cookware in a store, I thought, this is not any part of my life and my journey to be an actress. Guess what? It was one of the best things I've ever learned because it taught me so much. And that lady, Stella Della Rose, fast forward to my career now, they said, "Hey, we get this character of this country lady with this straw hat." And they showed me a picture and I went, "It's Stella Della Rose." I took that character that I saved, that I memorized from her, years ago. And that's how I get most of my characters. If you just look around the world, you're going to find a lot of characters that you could use. And that job became so valuable. That character that Stella Della came with me. And my point is this: don't think that what you're doing now isn't important for your future. It doesn't mean you're going to be a voice actress. It means whatever you're going to do, learn what you're doing, appreciate the fact you have a job. Jobs aren't easy to come by, and just do it to the best of your ability and make it your own. You could turn any job into something special just by bringing your personality to it.
So good. I love it. I love it. That's hilarious. But you know what? I love what you just described and painted the picture of is how it plays out. Like I have said this to many people. I feel like even though in those moments we can get discouraged and be like, this has nothing to do with my part. I'm wasting my time. Like I'm wasting my skills. I'm wasting my talent, but I find that I think those are also a test of our faithfulness and our willingness to bring the best of who we are, even when it doesn't seem to really matter, even though it does. But it's the kindness of the Lord to give us such low pressure situations to cultivate the gifts that we'll need and the talents we'll need for higher pressure situations where our dream is in front of us, And I was telling my sister last night. Thank you. I was telling my sister last night, I don't remember what it was I was describing it. I was describing how I had to like tactfully address a situation. And I told her, I was like, look, aren't you proud of me? I'm not so abrasive and harsh as I used to be when I was younger. Cause she grew up with me, she knows. And I said, I think my job when I worked for Stitch Fix as a stylist and I had to write all these personalized notes and address people's insecurities, their body insecurities, their image insecurities, and I had to address them delicately and respectfully and honoringly. I was like, I think that taught me how to be more delicate with people and how to not be so abrasive or harsh or blunt.
That was perfect.
And I mean, like, yeah, it's not my life calling, but it was definitely an equipping season. And so I love what you just shared.
I like that. It's an equipping season. That's very well said. Yes. Because it does. If you embrace it and you just don't find everything wrong with it, you literally could pick something apart to where you're just miserable. But that was a perfect example of, of what you were doing and how it helps you later on in your journey.
Yeah.
Very
you as well. You as well. So one little secret sweet thing that I did want to share, my mom made something for you. And I wish, well, actually, I don't know, is it close by? Can you show it?
No, it's not. Oh, okay. I have it in a very special place. If I would have known. Okay, let's talk. Your mom made me the most exquisite Barbie quilt ever. It is, I don't think I could. I have it on a bed upstairs. I'd have to dismantle.
No, don't. No, it's okay. We'll put a picture.
Okay, deal. Because it is so cool. It is so well done and so detailed that when I saw it, I cried. Crystal, your sister gave it to me. It was beautiful, beautiful. I'm so sad of it, but it is one of my pride and joys. And you could tell her if you see her, and tell her how I feel about that blanket. And I think she'd make me a pillowcase to go with it. It was like this Barbie pillowcase. Of course, that one I used every night because it's the pictures fading off of it. So but it was the most precious gift to me. And she doesn't really know me. She just did it out of pure love. And please pass that on. And I it is definitely something very special to me.
It is. Well, and you know what? When we were young, initially my mom wasn't going to let us play with Barbie dolls because she was afraid we'd have a complex of like trying to look like this perfect little Barbie that doesn't really look very realistic. And so, but I remember we begged and begged and she did let us play with Barbie. So it's kind of full circle. Then she made you this beautiful blanket. But okay, so with all that, do you have any last words for my listeners? Because I want to respect your time and let you get off of here. But any last words, and then how can they connect with you online if they want to follow you?
Any last words? You mean I didn't just ramble on enough for you?
I know.
Did I answer any of your questions? Probably not. I think you should put a little disclaimer at the bottom of this that goes, Chris doesn't really answer the questions. She just talks. So
you answered them beautifully.
And sometimes I'll form a sentence that makes absolutely no sense. My husband goes, that made no sense at all. I said, honey, see the heart. They'll get what I meant, even if it doesn't make any sense, or I use the wrong word, which is so typical for me. You'll go, that sounded like something I think she was trying to say, but I'm not sure. Last words. Okay. Gosh, I wish I could just say something really profound, but I think I shared enough of my heart and how I feel about people and about my journey. And like I said, my values are, it's not what you might think, like I said, I don't want to be the greatest voice actors, although I do want to be remembered as a talented person. That's great. I invested a lot in my work, and but I do hope that some of you have heard my voice when it came to being kind to others and leaving your comfort zone and complimenting people and smiling at people. I tell kids all the time, smiling is powerful. When a kid smiles at you, isn't that just like, it's like somebody just kisses you on the cheek. It's a beautiful thing when a kid does that. And I'm leaving for Alaska this Sunday. I'm going back to Alaska. I've been there twice, and I'm going to a radio station in Glen Allen, Alaska. And most people that know me, I'm not a real comfortable traveler. I'm always going, what if my flight's late? What if I'm always worried about something like that. But I'm going to go to a Glen Allen, Alaska, and I'm going to go to a radio station. It's a Christian radio station called KCAM. And every year they have like a share-a-thon where they raise money for their station. And they air Adventures in Odyssey. First thing I go is, hi, this is Chris. Welcome to Adventures in Odyssey. When I walk in the door, and they're so sweet to me. And I'm going there in a Monday. And I'm never really comfortable traveling, but I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, and I'm gonna again just leave my fears behind and let God take me on the journey. I have no idea how it all works out, but I'm telling all of you out there, leave your comfort zone. Don't be trapped by fear. Have faith that He'll give you some treasures along the way. Even if it's not all smooth sailing, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna be able to say, "Hey, I tried it. I did it." Instead of laying in your bed and going, "Oh well, I'm comfortable." Go for it. Try something new. Let Him take you out there on your next journey, and that's what I'm doing. This coming week. I hope I'm not lost in an airport going, "Oh boy."
We'll all pray for your traveling safety that there are no issues. Well, you guys, thank you, first of all, Miss Chris. Thank you for coming on here. And thank you for bringing your heart and soul to the jobs that you did, because people like myself were so blessed. And even though I didn't know who you were when I was playing with and listening to Barbie, I appreciate knowing now how much heart and soul and Spirit of God that you brought to that situation. That just gives me so much, I don't know, comfort and like even happier feelings around those memories. And so thank you for what you did and doing what you did to the best of your ability. That's just amazing.
Well, thank you. And it took a long time for us to connect and finally get this together. And I'm really grateful. This has been a lot of fun. You are a very dear person. And I think one of my favorite Bible verses is, the joy of the Lord is my strength. And I carry that in my heart, even when it's not joyful out there. He's my strength. So thank you all for just being with us today. And I hope maybe I can meet some of you in person someday. I'm on Facebook or Instagram. You can always sometimes message me. I try to kind of connect with people that way too. So that would be fun. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you for coming. And you guys make sure you follow her on Instagram, Facebook at Chris Anthony Lansdowne, which I will put the links down in the show notes. You guys, thanks so much for coming and listening to another episode here at Java with Jen. You guys are why.
Wait a minute. What's the name of that show?
Java with Jen.
Isn't that precious? I love it.
I need to get you to do voiceovers for my show intros, huh?
Of course.
That would be amazing.
I love that.
Well, you guys, thanks so much. And listen or follow Chris Anthony over at Instagram. Hit subscribe anywhere that you're getting this podcast, anywhere that you're listening right now. Just hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming shows. I have some incredible guests coming to you over the next few months. And of course, wonderful surprises like Miss Chris Anthony right here. And so thanks so much for coming. Thanks you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's show. Listen, let's stay connected. Come follow me on Instagram at Java with Jen, where you can follow the latest and say hey. It's a really great way to stay in touch. Many of you have also asked how you can support the show. You can make donations through the Anchor app or on Patreon, or of course by sharing, rating, and reviewing on social media and iTunes as well. Your heartfelt feedback always reminds me why I do this. Also, don't miss our merch store, where you can get super cool Java with Jen swag and coffee. Find it at javawithjenmerch.com. Until next time, remember, hearing God's voice is simple, and He wants to be a part of your everyday life. See you next week.